client sends you a draft that sounds brilliant. The recommendation is confident, the statistics are polished, and the citations look impressive. Then you click one link and discover the source never said what the draft claims. Worse, the citation itself may not exist. The writing passed the fluency test. It failed the trust test.
That is the kind of mistake that survives a spell check and destroys a relationship. Nobody gets upset because a sentence was slightly awkward. They get upset when a decision was built on evidence that was never checked.
Exactly. And that gap is becoming a business opportunity. Welcome to the AI and Future of Work podcast, episode XYZ. I'm Marcus Chen. In the next minutes, you'll discover a powerful AI tool or workflow that can dramatically increase your nomad income. Today, we're building an AI red team desk, a second layer that challenges AI-assisted work before your client sees it.
And let's make the promise precise. This is not a machine that certifies truth. It is a system that organizes doubt, traces claims to evidence, exposes missing support, and gives a human a much better review queue.
Right. One AI pass can generate a proposal, research brief, landing page, or client report. A second pass can ask which statements matter, what supports them, what could mislead the audience, what should be revised or removed. Then you make the final call. This changes everything for nomads who already create with AI, but want to earn from judgment rather than endless production.
Yes, and I've seen teams mistake confidence for evidence. The client hears a smooth answer and assumes someone did the checking.
So start with one deliverable type, not every document your client has ever created. Pick, for example, software company landing pages. Your smallest useful desk needs a draft, an approved source library, a review rubric, and a human approval gate. The stack can be simple. ChatGPT or Claude for generation and challenge passes, Google Drive or Notion for the source library, and Make or Zapier to route submissions, flags, and approval requests. You do not need a complicated platform on day one.
Wait, before the file moves anywhere, what happens to confidential client material?
You pause the automation until that is clear. Create an intake form with fields for the draft, intended audience, business goal, required sources, restricted claims, deadline, and approval contact. Add a consent statement explaining which tools receive the material, how access is limited, and how long records are retained.
Good. Test with redacted material first. Check the vendor's privacy and retention settings, separate client folders, limit permissions, and decide what gets deleted. These steps sound boring until the first sensitive document lands in the wrong workspace.
Here's the exact prompt and stack in action. The form creates a review record with a unique job ID, the draft link, the approved source links, and a status of pending review. Make or Zapier can notify the reviewer and create the record. It should route the work, not decide whether the work is true.
That distinction is important. A workflow can move a file quickly. It cannot understand the client's reputation, the consequences of a misleading claim, or whether a source is actually authoritative.
First, do not ask the reviewer to rewrite the draft. Ask it to build a claim register. Every meaningful statement gets an ID, the exact wording, the type of claim, the source it is supposed to rely on, and a risk level. That includes statistics, timelines, product capabilities, customer outcomes, comparisons, and statements that could affect a business decision. The goal is to turn a wall of polished prose into a list of things a professional can actually inspect.
And only from the sources we approve, right?
Exactly. Here's the reusable reviewer prompt. You are a skeptical quality reviewer. Read the draft and the supplied source library. List every material claim. Assign each claim an ID, quote the claim exactly, identify the source, and classify the support as supported, partially supported, unsupported, or contradictory. If the evidence is unavailable, say unavailable. Do not invent citations. Then continue. For each claim, identify missing conditions, outdated information, ambiguity, overgeneralization, and hidden assumptions. Suggest the smallest safe revision. Preserve the author's voice, but never trade accuracy for smoothness. That last line protects the work from becoming technically cautious and completely unreadable.
Hold on. You said identify hidden assumptions, but not search the internet for the truth. That wording matters.
If the workflow includes a documented browsing step, search is exactly what it does.
Only if you can show what it searched, when it searched, and which sources it used.
Fair correction. Without that documented browsing process, the prompt should say, within the materials and tools provided, identify possible contradictions. The model is comparing supplied evidence. It is not certifying reality.
That is the human plus AI advantage. The model is fast at organizing suspicion. You are responsible for deciding whether the source is trustworthy and whether the claim belongs in the final version at all.
Now add an evidence-checking pass. For each claim ID, compare the wording of the claim with the supplied source. Distinguish direct support, reasonable inference, weak implication, and no support. Record the source date, authority, relevant quote, uncertainty, and recommended action. The action should be keep, revise, qualify, source more evidence, or remove.
Not a dramatic red alert for every imperfect sentence.
Exactly. Let's use a real example. Imagine a landing page that says, our platform cuts onboarding time by 40%. The claim extractor gives it a high impact ID. The source library contains one small customer case study showing a 40% reduction in one tested workflow. That does not support a universal promise.
So the safe revision might be, in one customer workflow, onboarding time fell by 40%. Same evidence, much narrower claim.
Right. The audit has now created value. It found the risk, showed the evidence gap, proposed a useful revision, and left the final decision with a person. That is not just an internal quality check. It can become a documented client deliverable.
And the scorecard keeps the review consistent. 5 categories: factual support, completeness, audience fit, clarity, and risk. Score each from 0 to 2, but explain the reason beside every score.
0 means unacceptable or unknown. 1 means it needs review. 2 means adequate for the agreed purpose. But the total is a review signal, not a certification. A polished 86 out of 100 can still hide one unsupported claim that matters more than all the easy points combined.
Especially under risk. A typo and a misleading claim about a major business decision should not receive the same treatment just because both lower the score by 1 point.
That is where you add escalation rules outside the model. Any unsupported high-impact claim requires manual investigation. A contradiction between approved sources goes to the client or a subject matter expert. Confidential or regulated material pauses the automation. The model can point to the doorway, but it cannot walk through it for you.
And please do not let 2 AI passes congratulate each other. If the generator and reviewer receive the same flawed assumption, they can agree beautifully.
That is the trap. Give the reviewer the source library separately. Require quotes instead of confidence scores. Use different instructions for generation and criticism, and manually sample the results. A reviewer that never finds a problem may be polite, underinformed, or broken.
Now, let's talk about earning from it. Why would a freelancer sell this as a service instead of keeping it invisible in the background?
Because review is becoming its own layer of value. The first offer is a per-deliverable AI audit. A proposal, landing page, research brief, or newsletter comes in. The client receives a claim register, evidence notes, risk flags, revision suggestions, and an approval summary. You sell the documented process against an agreed rubric, not perfect accuracy.
The second is a monthly quality retainer. Define the number of assets, review passes, source responsibilities, turnaround windows, and specialist escalations. If those boundaries are vague, one client can quietly turn a small audit into an unlimited editing department.
And the premium offer is trusted delivery. You organize the sources, support AI-assisted production, run the red team review, obtain human approval, and deliver an evidence archive with unresolved questions clearly disclosed. The promise is not guaranteed correct. It is reviewed against your agreed sources and quality standard.
That wording protects both sides. The client knows what they are buying, and you are not pretending that an automated score replaces legal advice, subject matter expertise, or professional judgment.
Here's the implementation path. Pick one asset type. Create one intake form, one approved source folder, one rubric, and one final approval message. Then run 10 historical drafts through the workflow. Track useful flags, false positives, minutes spent, and revisions prevented. That data tells you whether you have a service or just a very elaborate hobby.
Start small, but think big. If the review takes longer than producing the original asset, simplify it. Maybe claim extraction is valuable, while sentence-by-sentence auditing is unnecessary for that client.
And if the AI invents a citation, the citation fails. No source link, no matching passage, or no verifiable record means unverified. Open important links yourself. Never let a reference pass because it looks scholarly.
What about confidential material that the client is not allowed to send to a cloud tool?
Redact first. Obtain written consent. Confirm the tool's data settings. Use minimum necessary access, and separate client workspaces. If the data path is not approved, offer a local or manual review. A location-independent business still needs disciplined information handling.
And the workflow should stay manageable while you travel. Let clients submit asynchronously. Choose 1 or 2 protected review windows and use statuses such as received, reviewing, questions, approved, and delivered.
For example, you might accept submissions by 2 p.m. Lisbon time, review during one protected 90-minute block, and send questions before the client's next morning. That is a planning example, not a universal promise. The point is to sell a clear review window instead of pretending you are available instantly from every time zone.
Keep templates for the prompts, scorecard, client email, escalation note, and final audit summary. Store the evidence archive with the job record. Over time, you build a library of recurring failures, unsupported outcomes, vague comparisons, missing conditions, and outdated statistics.
That library improves your judgment and your pricing. Instead of saying, I use AI to work faster, you can say, I help your team move faster without losing track of evidence, uncertainty, or approval. That is the shift from selling production hours to selling a dependable process.
Your first action is simple. Choose one existing deliverable, gather the sources it was supposed to use, extract the claims, apply the 5-part rubric, and manually investigate the 3 highest risk flags. Do not automate the entire business today. Learn where the judgment actually lives.
Then choose your offer path, a one-time audit, a monthly quality retainer, or a premium trusted delivery layer. Define the boundary, document the evidence, measure the time saved, and disclose what remains uncertain. Start small, prove the process, and let the service grow from evidence rather than hype.
Let's make this actually work for you. If the system helps, expand it. If it creates busy work, redesign it. The human plus AI advantage comes from better decisions, not from adding more steps.
That's your AI blueprint for today. Ready to implement this at a higher level? Enroll in our high-income remote skills courses at nomadlifesuccess.com/courses for the complete prompt pack, automation templates, client intake structure, and implementation walkthrough. Automate the ordinary. Amplify the extraordinary.